The plate hit the wall and shattered. Rice scattered across the red floor. No salt? Obinna shouted. You call this food? His voice filled the clay house like thunder. Lami stood still, her spoon shaking in her hand. She had used her last money to buy that rice. Before she could speak, his hand came fast across her face. The sound cracked the air. She staggered but didn't cry. She only whispered, one day you will taste what you just served me. Obinna laughed and stormed out. When the door slammed, her tears fell into the rice. The lamp flickered, and in that dim light, something inside her stopped breaking and started changing. Hi family, please click subscribe before we continue. Every click helps us share stories that open hearts. Comment where you're watching from. You might help someone tonight. Lami picked up the broken plate slowly, her fingers bleeding. The rice was cold, but her heart burned. She looked up at the night sky and whispered, even food without salt can still feed the hungry. She didn't know how, but she knew something had begun. Never mistake silence for weakness. Some storms whisper before they roar. The next morning, drums beat from the village square. Mama Koto, the old storyteller, tapped her talking drum and said, a house that bleeds pain will soon flood the streets. Lami walked past the market, her face still swollen. Women whispered, but no one spoke out loud. Only Mama Koto's eyes followed her with sadness. Child, the old woman called. Salt may be small, but it carries taste. She gave Lami a small pouch filled with white stones. When the heart is ready, this will speak for you. Lami nodded, though she didn't understand. That night, she hid the pouch under her cooking stones. The firelight glowed against her tears. Before we go on, please subscribe. Your one click helps us bring stories of hope and change to others. And comment, I rise. If you believe, pain can become power. The moon rose high, silver and still. Lami's voice was calm but firm when she said to herself, the river will remember who threw the stone first. Wisdom sometimes comes wrapped in mystery. Listen to those who see farther than pain. The market was loud the next day. Palm wine spilled, laughter echoed, and gossip danced like smoke. Obinna drank and bragged. A man who controls his wife controls his world. The men laughed, but Chief Duro, the village leader, watched quietly from his stool. His eyes were sharp, his silence deep. That night, the wind turned wild, bending the palm trees. The storm hit hard, shaking the roof. Lami sat by the fire, holding Mama Koto's pouch. She pressed it to her chest and whispered, tomorrow, I will no longer tremble. Lightning flashed, and in that flash, she saw her future clear as dawn. Family, please hit the subscribe button right now. It helps us share more stories like this, stories that can heal hearts. Thank you. Outside, thunder rolled, but inside, Lami's heart was calm. She finally understood. Storms do not always destroy. Some wash everything clean. Pride can roar, but it is silence that rebuilds after the storm. At sunrise, the house was quiet. Obinna woke up and found the bed cold. Lami was gone. Tommy, their little son, is gone too. Only the pot of rice remained, still warm, no salt, just like before. On the door hung a single white stone, tied with palm thread. Obinna picked it up and frowned. A note was beneath it. The salt you threw away will return as a river. He laughed, but the laugh sounded hollow. The air in the house felt different, heavier. For the first time, he was afraid of silence. Please, family, click subscribe before we continue. Help us share this story. Your one click could reach someone who needs courage right now. As night came, Obinna sat alone. The oil lamp flickered weakly, and he whispered, she will come back. But deep down, he knew something had left him forever. The value of peace is known only when it leaves the house. Weeks passed. The market buzzed with talk. Some said Lami had gone to work in the chief's palace, others that she joined healers in another town. Chief Duro called Obinna to the council square. "Where is your wife?" he asked. "She left," Obinna muttered. "She will return." Chief Duro's gaze was heavy. "A man who strikes the hand that feeds him will one day eat from the dust," the crowd murmured. Obinna's face burnt with shame. He walked away, but the words followed him home like shadows. Before we go on, please hit subscribe and comment justice below if you believe truth always finds its way home. That night, Obinna sat outside. The moon looked like Lami's eyes, bright, sad, and far away. He couldn't sleep. When you hurt love, even silence becomes a witness. The seasons changed. Obinna's palm wine soured. His crops refused to grow. He cooked rice himself one night and sat down to eat. He took one bite, and his eyes filled with tears. "No salt," he whispered. The taste was bitter, but not because of the rice. Because for the first time, he knew how pain tasted. Family, pause for a moment and click subscribe. Let's spread stories that teach love and truth. Thank you. He looked at the empty chair beside him and said, "Lami, I was wrong." But only the night answered. A cold wind blew through the doorway, carrying the smell of salt from the distant river. What we give to others often finds its way back, one way or another. 3 months later, a stranger arrived in Erumaka. She wore white and carried herbs in a basket. Her voice was soft, her steps steady. It was Lami. She had become a healer, helping women who suffered in silence. At the women's gathering, she said, "The body that breaks can still heal. The woman who cries can still rise." Everyone listened. Even Mama Koto smiled, proud. Before we continue, please click subscribe. Family, every click helps us lift once quiet voices. Comment "Rise" if you believe healing begins with courage. As Lami walked home that night, she looked up at the stars and whispered, "Salt returns to the sea, and so will I." Healing begins when you stop hiding your scars. Chief Duro called for a meeting. The whole village gathered. Obinna knelt before Lami in shame. "I was blind," he said. "I lost the only heart that loved me." Lami opened her palm and poured the white stones onto the ground. "Let the river decide," she said calmly. Everyone watched as she walked toward the river. Obinna followed, trembling. Hi family, take a second and subscribe before the next twist. Your support helps us tell stories that matter. The drums beat softly as the two stood by the water's edge. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means freeing your own heart. At the river, Lami dropped one stone into the water. It dissolved slowly. Chief Duro raised his hand. "As this stone melts," he said, "so should your anger. But remember, the river remembers all it carries." Obinna bowed his head, crying. The water rippled like it understood. Lami turned and walked away, her steps light, her heart free. Please subscribe before we go on. Every view, every comment helps us reach one more person who needs this. Behind her, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying the sound of change. True freedom comes not from revenge, but from letting go. Months passed. Peace returned to Erumaka. Lami built a small center near the river called the House of Salt. There, women came to learn, to heal, to rest. Obinna worked quietly, rebuilding wells and planting trees. One evening, he saw her across the market. Their eyes met, no words, just peace. Before we continue, please subscribe. Together, we can share stories that change lives. Mama Koto's drum echoed in the distance. When rice has no salt, she sang, it still feeds the hungry. But when the heart loses love, even full plates taste empty. Change begins the moment you choose peace over pride. And so, every season, Lami told her story to young girls by the fire. Never let fear cook your rice, she would say with a smile. If someone breaks your spirit, remember you still carry salt inside. The girls laughed, but they understood. Across the village, Obinna walked till sunset, quieter, humbler, learning what real strength means. Family, if you've watched this far, click subscribe now. Let's keep telling stories that heal, stories that make us think. Comment strength if this touched your heart. As the night fell, Mama Koto's voice carried on the wind. Even when pain burns, hope still grows. The heart may crack, but from those cracks, light finds its way in.